Hey mamas, it's Katie. I hope you are all doing awesome. I am so excited for this live and learn today because let me pull her in here. Let's see where she is. It is just a little bit different today than what we normally do. And I am just ridiculously inspired by this amazing mom. And I know that you will be too. And so that's why I have her on today. So let's get her here. Are you there, Liz? There she is. Says it's adding, says it's adding. I love your profile picture, Liz, by the way. Here she comes. Is it adding you, Liz? Try this again. There she is.
It's doing this weird thing.
How are you? Do you have it landscape way? Because right now it's perfect. It's perfectly straight on my
It
end.
is perfect. We'll just go with this.
Amazing. Well, thank you for being with me today.
Yeah.
Was just letting the group know I'm super excited for this one. I love all the live and learns. We have a lot of moms that have a lot of awesome stuff to offer.
Correct.
But this other one is just a little bit of a different spin than what we normally do.
Right.
So are you ready for this?
I am ready for this, actually.
Awesome. So let's just get right into it. Tell the group, and I know a lot of us know you. You've been around for a while, which is a really good thing. I don't mean to make you sound old. I'm older than her, by the way. So a lot of the moms know you. You're a pretty familiar face. You're at a lot of our events. So maybe many moms are somewhat familiar with your story, but give it to us again. Mainly talking about your surprise health condition, severe health condition that you found when you were pregnant or when you were delivering. I know you'll get into that, but talk to us a little bit about what the issue is.
So, currently, I am a mom of three in what we call congestive heart failure, which came along with an additional surgery, which happened after my third child.
So this was a surprise to you though. You didn't know this about yourself, right?
Correct. Yeah. I was reasonably healthy. The only problem I had was a thyroid issue, which I took one pill a day for, and I ate really well and took care of myself.
So tell us a little bit about your road to discovery. So you were pregnant and you found this out delivering, right? So talk about stress.
Right. So yeah, stress. It was interesting. 2 days after I gave birth and I came home, I was having some difficulties with normal things. You'd think, why am I tired? Why can't I breathe when I lay down? I was like choking and stuff like that. So it was some issues I've never dealt with before because I've had two kids prior,
Right.
both vaginal. So I was like, what is going on? Am I getting sick? Like, how did I get, it felt like I had pneumonia. How did I get pneumonia? I just left the hospital. How did I get pneumonia? And why didn't they catch that kind of thing,
Right.
So it
Right.
was kind of funny for me. So once that happened, I rushed into the hospital, found out my heart rate was extremely high, and there's some tachycardia, a bunch of stuff going on that I couldn't stop personally. So I was
Mhm.
admitted in the hospital and then found out the next day.
So through a series of tests, they found out what the issue is.
Correct.
So there was no real question. They were kind of like, hey, dude, here's what it is, and this is what you need to do to take care of it.
Pretty much. The gentleman, very great cardio doctor. He actually came in early in the morning, sat down next to my bed. I was recently pumping. I had to borrow a breast pump because I was pumping milk for my brand new baby because I couldn't have her in the hospital. And he sat down, he looked at me, he goes, look, you're very young and this doesn't happen very often, but you are in heart failure and we're going to need, and your valve there's something wrong with your valve is leaking, and we're going to need to crack your chest open and give you a new valve.
And so, did that even make sense to you at the time? Like, how did you initially take this news in?
I was pretty much mom. Do you know how moms take in information? We just take it all in, and then we think, okay, I have to look into this now, and I have to, I've never heard of this. I wanted to cry, but I didn't. I didn't do it in front of my husband because if I did, he would have broken down. And so I just went into mom mode where I was looking into stuff and Googling and as much possible information as I possibly could take in. Asked a million
So,
questions.
so instead of going into breakdown and doing nothing, you decided to educate yourself.
Correct. Yes.
So take us through a little bit about what that looks like. I mean, you don't need to go into super detail, but what I'm looking for here is if we have a mom that, might be catching this video today that was given some news and might be in at that point right now. Take us through the steps of what you did to research this and kind of, because obviously you want to research valid information. I mean,
Right. And
it's not just a
asking.
Google, right?
Yeah. So, when he told me, he's like, they always ask you, do you have any questions? And I said, I don't right this second, but I will. So please come back in a couple hours. So I made sure, dropping things. I made sure that he came back, and this was in between the time that my husband was gone and came back. And then I got on the phone with my family. So if you have family, especially, to support you, I would give that as a suggestion to reaching out to them because it always takes a village. Like it still takes a village to raise a family, but it takes a village to come up with the best solution sometimes. Because my parents have been through surgeries, millions of them. So put it out there for them because maybe they have an idea of what I could do. In my situation, they wanted to have surgery like that next week. And
I remember that.
Yeah, I just had the baby and I was like, I want to breastfeed. Like she hasn't gotten the nutrition she needs. She hasn't done everything. So me and my parents wanted a second opinion.
Good call.
So that is always a good option. You don't have to go with what the first person says as long as you are stable and in a place where you're okay and not immediately
It's not an emergency situation, basically.
Correct, yeah. I was in an emergency situation. When they found out the situation, they had me stable on medication. I was able to make that decision. Thank goodness. Some people aren't, so they're rushed into surgery. But in this case, I was.
Right. So I'm hearing, look, it's not a time to hold this information close to the chest. This is a time when it's be vulnerable, reach out to the people that you love, that love you back, and really dive into, with their help and guidance and assistance, really dive into what the best approach is for you going forward. Because it affects your family. I mean, you got 3 kids.
Yeah, correct. And then at that time, I was like, I'm still I call myself a hippie, new age hippie mom. So I still try and do minimal where anything is affecting my body has to go in my body, on my body, around my body. I want my daughter to get what she needed. My husband doesn't do very well with babies. So I had to think about that aspect of it. Who's going to take care of the baby kind of thing. I couldn't, I found out after the surgery, I couldn't pick her up for a while. So for us, it was okay if I was stable that I waited until we had what we needed information.
So you were able to take a moment, take a deep breath, and pull together the resources that you knew you needed, because you needed to plan for this. I mean, how long were you down and out? You were bedridden for a little while or something, right?
Right. And I even made having the surgery a very quick decision as well. It wasn't that I waited months. I made that decision in 2 weeks. So when I was down. I had the surgery in November. Couldn't pick her up until February, March. So I did anyways, don't get me wrong. I was-
As moms, we tend to do that kind of
yeah.
thing. So how, take us back to, and you touched on it a little bit, but how the news impacted you as a mom in terms of what did you all of a sudden need to plan for? I mean, you couldn't pick her up for 4 months. Like, what did you have to put in place
So
real quick?
there's a couple things that I had to do. One, I was breastfeeding again. I implement that because I had to plan for that. I actually planned out and got breast milk from other moms, which isn't very sought out yet aspect of life. Usually people just supplement with formula. And in my case, I didn't want that. I wanted to make sure she had at least a couple months of breast milk. So I had to reach out. Go ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. I'm interested in that. So obviously there's further research that you want to do. You're not just going to take any old milk, right?
Yeah, I had to make
So
sure it was local one so I could get it. Two, it was from another mom that I knew. And then my daughter had an allergy. She had reflux really bad. So I had to make sure the mom was eating healthy enough for my style for my daughter.
wow, so that's a lot of research right there in and of itself.
Correct. Yeah. So that was additional research on top of the medical research I had to do.
Right. So you had to figure out, okay, I want her to be fed in this manner. I need to put that together. What about childcare? What about you couldn't pick her up? Who changed her diaper?
Well, that was after the surgery. Previous, I waited, got my second opinion, so I had a little bit of time. Like I said, I had a couple months with her. July 2nd, she was born. July 4th, I was in the hospital, found out. Then I didn't have surgery until November. So I was given those months where I was stable enough to find out what I needed to get done and then have the surgery. And in that time, I was home. I was at home. We lost the income. I was just home.
Right. So you had to make some obviously changes within your family as far as finances are concerned. So that's a whole other
Whole
thing
other
on top of
story. Yeah.
how am I going to feed this kid? Who's going to watch him? And you have like school age children, at least one.
Yep.
So Dom was going to school, so you had to like figure that out.
Yep. He got to go to and I picked him up to and from bus. That was nice, but it didn't bring in any money doing that.
Right.
So,
Right.
but no, and then I have a 3-year-old who would have been in daycare, who I actually did put in daycare still, because taking him out just because I'm sick, I had to take that money from another mom who was watching my kid. So we continue just to pay for him to
Well,
go like
and he
2 or 3 days a week.
and then with you kind of having a shift in your atmosphere, you would then be further shifting him to take him out of the interaction that he's used to.
Correct. Yes. So I was home taking care of the baby and the house
Mhm.
for the most part,
Mhm.
going to doctor's appointments. I did a lot of testing, a lot of testing. So I was doing that. It all worked out. Like I said, if you're in the position, there's always ways. Doctors are not going to turn you away. They're going to want to try and help you. I know most of it seems like money wise nowadays, but there are those good people that will help you out. Like make sure that your appointments are at a time that you can make it. I've had people hold my baby while I was getting tests done. Like
Mhm.
it's been an experience, let's just say.
Oh, you got to do what you got to do.
Hmm.
Um, any tips for our moms that may know somebody going through something like this or have gone through it or might be embarking on going through it? Any tips of anything as far as, you know, what you did with the kids or the household or the finances? Any quick tips that a mom could implement right away that might be in your position?
I would just say it's all tip wise, self-care for me is big. And that's in not saying that it's self-care can be across the board. It's not like hair, nails, skin. Self-care would be do your research so that you are comfortable with your decision. because once you're under and you're brought back up, you don't want to go back back into
Right.
surgery. No one wants to unless something happened. Um,
Right.
Actually, in my case, that being another story, I did do a lot of research before I made my decisions because I had to decide whether to do like a fake valve or a metal valve, which would last me my whole life. But
Oh, right.
then I would be on blood thinners the rest of my life, which is poison, and then just a bunch of decisions I personally had to make. The same goes for women. Some women after children have thyroid issues, um, hormone issues. There's a lot of things to having children um, that I got brought to my attention surprisingly. Um, we get pregnant, we have our baby, we prepare for the birth. We're so happy about the birth. We don't think about what it actually does to our bodies. And
Right.
even just self care to yourself before and after and between pregnancies is a huge issue. Always be informed about your body. If you feel off, write it down. Maybe start a
Hmm.
journal. I
Hmm.
find that to be very helpful. Um,
Well, as moms, I feel like we take the back burner. So we've got, spouses, we've got kids, and now all of a sudden we're taking the back burner. And I know a lot of moms personally that don't see the doctor once a year,
mm,
don't get their annual physical at,
yes.
is it once a year or every other year or something like that? I don't know. I think that changed since I started getting them
Yeah.
back in the day.
Yeah.
But whatever your doctor, suggests is appropriate for you. A lot of moms don't get regular blood work done. And I
Correct.
think that's super important too. We've got some moms that have more minor issues than you, but like, acne, issues with migraines, perhaps struggling with weight, things like that. And sometimes the problem can be discovered through blood work.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. I'm a big believer in getting your blood work or your levels checked. Um,
Mm-hmm.
After every single one of my babies, my cortisone level, which is a simple thing, cortisone level is always high. So the last two I've had to take medication that lowered my cortisone level and brought me back to earth, which was the non-upset raging mom, which so it goes past what is the not PTSD. What's the thing you have after you have a baby?
I don't know. What's the thing you have?
Postpartum.
Somebody comment.
Postpartum.
Postpartum. There we go.
So postpartum is a big thing for women to look into after their babies because it's a
Huge.
real thing.
Huge. Mm-hmm.
So with blood work and talking to your doctor, even then, you can even help with that and limit it if you were to get your blood work done. It's a simple thing to check your levels, testosterone, cortisone,
Testosterone's
hormones.
big. Mine is super high.
Yep. And
That causes acne.
you wouldn't know
That
that.
causes raging mom.
It causes
You.
thyroid. If you don't know your thyroid's high or low, would also be a weight issue or non-weight
Mhm.
issue, or might be an anger issue because it affects your pituitary, which is a happy place. So there's a lot of stuff affecting other things that we don't realize. So when I say self-care, it is important even as a mom to take 1 hour, 2 hours out of your day instead of getting your kids in to see the doctor for their physical, you do your physical because it's very
Mhm.
important.
Or pay attention to how you feel. When you said that, I mean, it's such a simple thing, but it's such an important thing. It's not healthy or right to be constantly tired all the time. I mean, yeah, if you're not sleeping, then yeah, that's the
When
obvious.
you have
But
a new
if you're
baby,
getting, yeah,
yeah, you're
or
gonna be
that,
tired.
but even still, I feel like our bodies are sort of set up for that. Maybe call me crazy, but when I had Jax, like I could endure staying up and the getting up, you know, every couple of hours more than my husband could.
Definitely.
It's just I feel like it's just like a natural thing for us. Like our bodies set us up ourselves up for that.
Yes.
But yeah, you're right. I mean, once you're past sort of that honeymoon phase of having a baby and you're still super tired, sluggish, get shaky. Like a lot of moms have sugar issues
They don't
as
eat.
far as blood sugar issues, and they don't know.
They forget to eat. They forget to drink enough water. If they're doing something prior to getting pregnant, like working out, they don't do that, which would help. Like there's a lot of just little things that we are supposed to be like because we're moms, but we need to still do it for ourselves because obviously I'm thinking I found out that the heart failure either was something I had from birth, which has never come up before ever. I've been in 3 car accidents. I've gotten EKGs. I've gotten all kinds of things before. I've never had a heart issue. No anxiety, no nothing. Now they're trying. It enlightened me with the information that every child you get is hard or you have. Birth itself is trying on your heart. It's trying on your organs because you're physically doing something. You're physically pushing. You're physically doing stuff. So it could have been, I'm on my 3rd pregnancy. It could have been the first 2. Started it. Then the 3rd one definitely ended it.
Right.
And started on my journey where my heart was going down. I found out it could be my salt intake. It could have been a million things that I just thought I was pretty healthy and I had healthy kids, so I thought I was doing okay. And I actually realized that there's a thing called preeclampsia when you're pregnant, right? Everybody's pretty scared of that.
Yes, I've heard of that.
Okay. Yeah, we're pretty scared of that. But when you have preeclampsia, you get the swelling and the water weight and stuff like that. Come to find out, some of the signs of heart failure is swelling and stuff in your limbs and in your feet, which I got. And I didn't get that with the last 2 children. So this 3rd one I did. And I just played it off as, oh, it's probably preeclampsia. Went to the doctor. She's like, no, it's not. Your heart rate's fine. So I was probably in the stages of heart failure, and then having the baby was the end result.
Was it? So it was giving you signs along the way.
Yeah. Yeah. But there's so many other things. So at least I went to the doctor, though, and I asked. Like, I made sure I told her, are you sure this is not this? And she said, yes, because your blood pressure's been great this whole time. So I'm like, okay. So I got it checked out. I can at least say that. And I did research it a lot. So my biggest tip for anybody, if you're thinking, maybe I should grab that baby book and look up, symptoms or even a clogged duct, like when you're breastfeeding is the most painful thing in the whole wide world.
Ever, yeah.
Always pick up, what can I do? Can I, don't wait till it gets bad. Start right away. Look up information, ask questions. The biggest thing we have right now is this group, our mom group, and there's tons of women in there that have similar experiences, and it's the best thing that I've had actually through this whole process is to have this group with me.
Oh,
so
awesome. Part.
Yeah.
But the biggest message is your body gives you clues. Don't ignore them.
Yes. Even if they're simple and your husband's like, you're a hypochondriac or whatever. Yeah. Just get it, get it checked out. If it doesn't hurt you, if you have insurance, if you're covered, if you can save up $40 to go see the doctor just to get blood work, it's very valuable. And, there's always doctors out there that you don't like their answer, so there's always a second opinion, and that's one of the things that I'm blessful for is my second opinion. I went to Mayo, by the way, for my surgery, and it was my second opinion, and I got so instead of the doctor that wanted to crack my chest open and do the surgery right away, I got in through my armpit. I got orthoscopic, so they did it orthoscopically with a machine or a robot. So I ended up getting that, which limited my time being without my children for a week to a couple weeks.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, good to know that there, because you did your research, you were able to find that there are alternatives.
Correct. Yeah.
So I think our internet's getting a little bit shaky. We're a little delayed, so I'm going to wrap this up, Miss Liz. Would you just do me a
Okay.
quick favor upon wrap up? I loved what you said way back when you said that you avoid as much as possible putting chemicals on and in your body. So you avoid it so much that you actually, this is something that you do as far as an occupation, correct?
Correct. Yeah. So I
So tell us
have
a little bit about your side business.
so I have been in the business. I use it, and I've been in the business of using a product and products called Arbonne. And the reason I started using them was because I had a neighbor. I was getting into the vegan thing. I was 25, and I was about to have my first new baby. And she's like, "Oh, have you heard of this makeup?" And I was like, "No." So I tried the makeup first, but then I fell in love with the baby products because they were 100% the same. No mineral oil, no parabens, no allergy, anything, dyes. So I started using them and I continue to use those products. They're more of like a dietary need, skincare, vitamins, stuff for my family. I use it. That's how I maintain my chemical free as much as possible usage on top of all the stuff that's going on with me now.
Awesome. And where can people find you and find out more about you?
I am on the mom group, just so you know. My name is Punkette Betty. I'm also on Facebook. Uh, I think it's just Arbonne Life with Liz. I share a lot of tips
Mhm.
and stuff there. And always sharing. I haven't been sharing a lot lately. I need to actually get back onto that and share some more stuff. But I'm always open to friend requests if anybody ever needs anything or has any questions with anything, because I feel like now I've talked to a million doctors, a million types of doctors. I've been endocrinologist, I have a lot of friends who also have been in the endocrinologist. I've done now the cardiologist. I've done a lot of doctors, and if you have any questions, I can always try and help you.
You are amazing. Well, thank you again for sharing your personal story. You are a super inspiration to me. So thank you for your friendship and for just being in my life. You are awesome.
Thank you. I feel the
And
same way. And I
oh,
love
have a good day, my
MOMnation.
friend.
Thank you, everybody who's ever
Me
helped
too.
me.
Yes, agreed. All right. Have a good one.
All right, thanks. Bye, guys.
Bye.